And as I get downstairs, I look through my back door, this, the sliding back door, and I see for the second time this year, my greenhouse has been blown over by the wind. Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Shannon. This is Made by Boo, and I am ready to get into some of what I have been working on. First thing I have, as you can probably see, is a finished object. So this is the Twisted T-shirt. The pattern is by Brianna Lupino of the Little Wolf Knits, and the yarn is also dyed by her. This color, I have to remind myself which one is which. So the main color here is Wicked Through and Through, and this other one is One Short Day. They were both from her Wicked collection. I don't think that is available any longer. I have made this pattern before. I made it a little smaller this time than I have in the past, but I'm not 100% about the fit yet. I'm not going to remake it or anything. I just have not blocked it yet. I finished it close to a week ago, but because of other things, I just didn't have a place to lay it out to block it until today. And I did not want to block it before going into filming. So I know that it is going to have some size adjustments once I get to blocking it, but I haven't done it yet. I don't think that it's going to make a huge difference. The other ones that I have made, I made just like one size bigger, and it was only like a 4 or 5 stitch difference in some areas. And then I also made those ones like 10 rows longer. So I think this one might grow just a little bit, but whether it does or not, I am still going to like it. I do still have strings hanging out and things like that, so I am going to change out of this shirt and let the dog in before I get into works in progress. Okay, so now that I'm changed out, I'm not sure if I will get that shirt blocked or not today because our house is still a little bit of a mess, so it may get done tomorrow, but I am really excited to be able to block it and wear it. Other things I have are a little bit farther away, so I'll start with the smallest project first. Got my pair of socks. So this is using leftover yarns from So Happy Jane. I do not know for certain what either of the colors are anymore. They were from her monthly club a little while ago. I keep thinking about using a lot of my old monthly club yarns from her to make a blanket, but I also really don't want to start a big project that is just kind of a vague concept right this second. So last time we spoke, I was almost to the toe of the first sock. So you can see I had finished the first sock. It really just made me think very springy, but I have been working on these forever. I did not write down when I started them, but I did start them sometime early mid-May. It normally takes me about 3 weeks on average to finish a pair of socks, so these ones feel like they've been going forever. But I am on the second sock. I am now through the leg, and I'm about to add the heel. Once I get the heel added, I feel like things will go a little bit faster, and I will be done with the pair of socks. And I think part of what has been taking longer is little things like I did take a break. I had some days at work where usually I work on these when I get down to work and I'm just sitting there. I used to work on socks when I was at my daughter's gymnastics class as well. And she recently decided that she didn't want to do gymnastics anymore. So some of the times I used to work on them is gone. But also I took a trip with my husband and I thought, oh, I'll totally finish these socks while we're gone. I didn't even pick them up and work on them once. So some of these they have had times of zero work. I'm not sure if I'm going to start another pair of socks after these are done or if I'll just take a break from socks because I have not been really into socks that much this year. But they do make such a good portable project. But also I don't want to keep working on things I'm not super excited to work on. either way, getting close to done, and I am very excited that they're done. They still make me think of just very spring flowers, and yeah, I'm very happy to see them done. It is just a vanilla pair of socks. I added the stripes at the top just kind of for fun and color variation. Slip stitch heel, rounded toe. I do very much tend to do vanilla socks 90% of the time because they are my mindless project. So not a lot of interesting stuff to say, just a little bit of a babble there. I am so sorry. So the next project that I have, so this is the Calico Quilt Shawl, and it is using yarn from the 2025 Chelsea Yarns Advent Calendar. It was London themed, and I'm making progress. I did not get super far since the last time we showed it. I was starting this color, I finished this color, and picked up the next one. So, I mean, I'm making some slow progress on it. I would love to just kind of zoom through this to a point, but also, it's a big project. It's a long-term project. I am on color 14? Yeah, 14 of 25. So I am a little over, I am kind of past that halfway mark. I feel like I'll feel like I'm past that halfway mark when I finish row 2. It is just a garter stitch, but there's sometimes when I switch colors where I'm like, this, I don't want to start the next one, things like that. And I've had a few times like that. This has not entirely been a focused project. And honestly, some of the time that I would normally work on projects has been different. And it's some things are just a little bit, I don't know. Some of them I'm just not quite in the mood to work on. And I both really want to work on this and don't because of how it's constructed. You're working in a small area at a time, but with this big shawl. So, I mean, it makes it good and bad. So sometimes I just kind of don't have the energy for all of that shawl that I'm like wrapping around my shoulders. And then other times of all the projects I have, I'm like that garter stitch back and forth. Yeah, I'm making increases or decreases or picking up stitches depending on what's going on there, but it's still relatively simple. And that can be so nice sometimes. So last work in progress I have, I feel like I'm zooming right through these, is my Jethro cardigan. I have been working on this one for a while. It also had a bit of a break in there. But part of the problem is at the end of the break, I am only on the ribbing. At the end of the break, when I was coming back from it, I was finishing my twisted t-shirt that needed the ribbing at the bottom, and then the sleeves are technically just ribbing. And then I was starting another sock, which meant ribbing. And then I am on the bottom ribbing on this, followed by the ribbing of the button band. So it's making it a lot less exciting to work on it. I feel like I am more of like slogging through it because I want to be done with this part of it. And I do still really like it. I think it's going to be pretty. I do need to figure out what I'm going to do for buttons. I know I have some buttons that might work, but I'm not quite sure. I'd have to find my buttons, see what I have, and I'm very tempted to like order some like ceramic, porcelain, pottery type buttons from Etsy, but I don't know. Any which way, I am on the bottom ribbing. I was going to do 20 rows. I'm on row 18, so I'm going to make myself finish this bottom part and then pick up the button band because I think once I get through that, it is going to feel a lot better. But it is quite big and a little bit unwieldy, so it's a little less fun to work on right now. But I think when it's done, I'm going to really love how bright and colorful it is. And it is, the whole thing is fingering weight held double, so it is nice and it's going to be thick and warm, which we're entering July, so I don't know that I'll really want something thick and warm all the time. But once we hit early winter, spring, I'm going to love this. So yeah, trying to push through the ribbing. I think once I get through that, I'm going to feel a lot better. The other thing that had me a little bit not wanting to rush it, my house is still in a disarray. If you've been around for the last couple months, you'll know we had a leak in the upstairs bathroom. It has been almost 2 months, and like it was early-ish in May. We are at the end of June. Everything's dry, but they will not do the rebuild because they're still arguing with insurance. So winding yarn has been a pain, and this is what I am down to of the ball that I had. And as I was working on the ribbing, I was just like, I don't know that I'll have enough. I did have one more in the same color. I just hadn't wound it up. I finally broke down, set up a different place to wind my yarn this morning. And I think when I finish the bottom, I will combine the rest of this with the new one until this runs out and then go back to just the one ball to make sure I don't have little weird ends left over. But yeah, wondering if I was going to run out of yarn definitely was a factor in everything. And now I've moved past that. The answer was yes, I was going to run out of yarn, but I did technically have more, so we're good. All right, so that was me just absolutely blowing through my finished objects and works in progress. One more factor in everything going on in our house is that this is the first time I have filmed an actual episode with everybody in the house, and it definitely puts more of a sense of urgency on filming because we are down a bathroom. Since it was an upstairs bathroom that leaked, we only have 2, and one is like right in the room that I film in. So as long as I'm filming, nobody has access to that last bathroom. So it kind of puts that little bit of extra rush on filming like this. But, I mean, I kind of just rolled right on into the life stuff. I don't really have a lot to say as far as goals. I probably could finish calculating out goals, but I think I'll save that for next time so I can kind of calculate how many, because I will actually have a reduction in yarn for the month of June, as I keep wanting to buy yarn. Not because not even 100% because I have other projects, just because things are still a mess here. So I kind of want to do something that's fun and frivolous, but I am using what I have, and I'm very happy about that. But I have not finished any big projects in the last little while, so I didn't have any reduction in yarn. I personally count yarn as out of my stash when the project is done, because as long as it is still in progress, it is still requiring storage. There's the possibility that I'll start working on it and be like, and no, I hate this project, I'm pulling it all out, and I'm not doing it. So with life stuff, obviously still dealing with waiting for issues in the house. I do have a photo of what my craft area looks like. Hopefully I remember to upload it and put it in here, but it is a mess. They had to cut into there, but even before that, we had removed stuff from my daughter's room and put it in there, thinking that it'll be out of the way, because when the leak went through the ceiling, it went down into my oldest child's room. And so we moved some very, like, her special things up out of the way, and then naturally my craft area is right next to the bathroom that had the leak, so they had to cut in the wall, so everything is torn apart. It's not all my stuff, but it is also making things a little more difficult. So like this morning I had to go in and get my Swift and my ball winder to wind up that other one, and while I was doing it, I did go ahead and cake up yarn for another project. I was going to try to make myself power through these big projects I was working on while I couldn't easily wind up more yarn, but since I needed to wind up more anyways, I went ahead and wound these up. This is Little Wolf Knits Lone Wolf. It was part of her Wolf Pack collection, so I don't think you can get this color anymore. But the plan is to make a Bay Day tee. I don't know when I'm going to let myself start that. I'm probably going to make myself get a little bit farther on this cardigan, if not finish it, before I really let myself start another one, because that shawl is a long-term project, but I don't want to put it off where, like, I'm not working on it at all. So I think I'm going to have that set aside kind of as a reward when I finish the cardigan, first cardigan, then shirt. I also do technically still need to finish fixing. I washed my shrug. I've done it it's hand wash, it's a super wash, so I put it through the washer on a delicate cycle before, and then I usually lay it flat to dry. This time it got a big snag, and I need to finish. Like, we got 2 big snags. This one was bigger, but I do need to finish, but it's so tight there that pulling those stitches is rough. So those are a couple of the other projects that I technically have to do while waiting for everything to be back in order. So that's not really the fun part of everything. We're still waiting on all that, waiting for insurance to make its decision and argue with the people who are doing the repairs. And I'm just glad I'm not the one that has to be haggling on the price, but I really wish they had a little bit more urgency in it, because none of them are living with holes in their house. So we are enjoying other things. I have been working in my garden. I'm growing cantaloupes and got a couple that are a little bit bigger than my fist already. Everything seems to be going really well. Last weekend, I harvested a bunch of beets and then roasted them up. They were, I say a bunch of beets. They were not huge beets. The beets you get from the store are definitely bigger, but mine did taste really good. So the fresh stuff you grow in your garden is always going to be a little bit different. And then work is normal. One of the only other big things I think of note was we did have a storm last night that kind of threw us all off. Was sitting in my room playing Stardew Valley on my phone, and telling myself I'm going to get up any minute and tuck my child in and then put myself to bed too, because it's been a long week and I just need to decompress and get some rest. And then I hear the rain coming up against the window, and then it's suddenly like, that sounds like it could be hail. That's so weird. And my daughter comes in where she's like, it's really, really loud and it's really scary. And I was like, it's just a little rain. It's okay. And she goes back to her room, and then it kind of gets a little bit more intense. And I start to go downstairs because I'm like, no, that really sounds like it could be hail. Let me go see what it is. And as I get downstairs, I look through my back door. It's, the sliding back door. And I see, for the second time this year, my greenhouse has been blown over by the wind. And going on all around it, there's these big chunks of ice, massive amounts of rain, and lightning. So we're just sitting there looking out there for a few minutes like, cool. Like, we need to pick it up, but also we can't. And it was definitely giving everyone in the house a lot of anxiety, because it's like, this doesn't happen all the time. Wow, how bad is it going to get? And from what I saw little videos here and there on social media, we definitely did not get the worst of it in this area. I saw other people who were like trying to sweep water out of their house. People who the next day were able to like scoop up, or at least, after it happened, like scoop up handfuls of this icy hail. When we went out, like the rain and the hail, we looked at the phone. It said it would last about 10 minutes. So me and my youngest, we just went to a room where it was a little bit quiet, put on some music, wrapped her up in one of my wool blankets, and sat there for like 10 minutes. And then after that, it was good. My husband and I went outside, picked up the greenhouse. There was already like no hail or ice. We had no flooding. It was just a little terrifying for a little bit, and definitely confirmed the greenhouse apparently cannot stay where it is for now. It's been there for 2 years, and this year it has blown over 2 times. So we have to decide on another place to put it. There's a part of me that kind of wants to like put it in cement so that it's a little bit like give it its own little foundation kind of thing. But I honestly don't know exactly how to do any of that. It could just mean that next time it blows over with a cement block. I genuinely don't know. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Maybe I'll figure out how to do that, but it definitely is going to get a new location. When we put it back up, we turned it the other way because it has one of those little, like, panels at the top that, before the first time it fell over, would go up when it was hotter and go back down when it was colder, so that it could kind of control the airflow on its own. And when the first storm that knocked it over came around, it was up because it was hot, and the wind just grabbed that and the whole thing went over and it disconnected. But apparently it was still able to get some wind right in there and blow it over again this time. So we moved it around, so at least that was not the way the wind tends to go. But we're definitely going to have to make some other decisions as to what to do with it. So yeah, that was our big excitement last night. And then of course this morning we just kind of looked out, saw the damage. Again, we definitely didn't have that big a deal. That ice tore through the leaves on my melons and my broccoli, but I mean, other than the greenhouse blowing over and one potted tomato plant, everything out there is fine. I was expecting to see bits of the fence like blown down or something, but no, everything is good. So we were very fortunate in spite of the fact that it was kind of scary for about 10 minutes. So that's all I have. It's not a lot today, but again, there's that part of me that's like, it kind of feels like I have to talk quickly today too, because I started late and then other people are waiting for access to this room, and it's going to be a little chaotic for the next little bit. But we do know that it's going to be fine. We're going to get the repairs done on our house. Things will go back to a form of normal, but after a couple of months in a different routine, who knows if the new normal will be what the old normal was. There's no real way for sure for us to know. But for now, that is all I have. So until next time, have a very happy making.